Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Achaibo Clinical Research Q&A calls. I am Bea, assistant to Tengu, and I'll be working with you in the background to assist you with all things related to the Achaibo online training program. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few items so you know what we're going to do on today's event. On your screens, you'll see participant interface where you can see the microphone, the video icons, the participant list, chat reactions, or emoticons. You can click the hand button so that you'll be able to raise your hand when you have questions or experiencing technical issues. We have everybody else automatically muted so we don't hear background noises as others join in. You will have the opportunity to submit text questions to us by typing your questions in the Q&A box. You may send in your questions at any time during the presentation. We will collect this and address them during the Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. You could also raise your hand by pressing the hand button and we'll have you admitted before you speak up for your questions. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Tengu Muna, the founder and the CEO of the Achaibo Clinical and the creator of our online course, the Ultimate Clinical Research Toolbox.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yay. Hello. Seriously, every single Wednesday when B says without further ado, guys, is the same text every week, but I get so excited. So delighted that you're here. You just met our amazing team here at the Tribal Clinical. They're awesome. Lee, who's here at the bottom of the screen, and then we have Bia, who just did the introductions. Sylvestra, welcome. Olumide, Lydia, Johnston, Fatima, and of course, Elizabeth. Now, it is going to be a really juicy call today because we're building up to our last call, which I believe is next week, right, Bia? Bia, it's next week, right? And Lee, I think you guys are aware. So on habit 6, you guys, the last habit is we're going to discuss it next week, and then we move into the new year in January and we start all over. So if this is the first time that you're here, I am Tengu and I have been in clinical research for a long time. Okay, I've been in it for over 18 years. The way that these calls are structured, we talk about clinical research, clinical trials. Really, I have been in it for 18 years. I love it. I work at the global level. By that, I mean, I work in clinical operations, managing clinical trials across the world. And it's so exciting because, we are here to help patients around the world, right? And there was this shift that is happening where we're going more to emerging markets and really engaging the expertise and the skill set of the people in this country. So that's a little bit about me. I am a global clinical trials manager, consultant, love what I do. And my belief is that every single person on this planet should be a clinical research professional, because as you will hear, this industry has completely changed my life, giving me a completely new vantage point, just from not just the success from running incredible trials, but having my own company, now coaching and consulting. It's just so phenomenal. And my hope is that when you leave from here, you hear one thing that is going to bring some inspiration to your life. And hopefully you know a little bit more about clinical trials. So let us move on. I will move on to the next screen. So like I said, I've worked for small and large sponsors. And what I really enjoy for me is the coaching and mentoring, because I believe that every single human being has so much potential in them. And the beauty of the clinical research industry is that working globally and managing these massive projects across many, many countries, I have the opportunity to interact with so many different types of people. And the one thing I found is that people really need coaching and mentoring. It's not so much that they don't have the information. Many times they do, but they just need a bit of encouragement. And that really helped me to build this desire for engaging and allowing more people to come into the industry, understand it, and also hopefully benefit from my guidance and my expertise. And so Achaibo Clinical is the company. I created it from my experience in the clinical trials industry. And then you guys probably know about this, but sometimes there's something that just comes up to us that, I can just go and buy with all this knowledge in me, right? I mean, I have got to show people what I did. And for me, the thing that was really incredible was as I got into the industry and I really saw the excellence, I went ahead and I took coaching programs, became a certified coach, certified yoga instructor. I never practiced the principles of you. And I mean, I do practice, but I don't teach people, but I study the yoga sutras. And so that's really the framework from which I was able to become really successful. And mirroring that, what happens in the clinical trials world just really took my whole business and everything to the next level. Okay, so my goal is to innovate the space. Believe it or not, you rock stars on this call, and some of you attend every week. This industry sometimes it operates as a mom and pop shop in the sense that we're dealing with clinical trial sites, right? Yes, we do have large institutions that are in the clinical trials industry, but really this industry grew from little, different physicians across different indications using clinical trials as a side income for their practice. That's typically how it starts. So sometimes the industry operates that way. As much as there's a lot of innovation in it and a lot of modernization at that level of the clinical research facility, I always say it's not as advanced. The pharmaceutical companies, we have all the tools and resources. However, the beauty is that nothing changes at a clinical research level. We select countries, we select facilities. These medical practitioners have to get patients into the trial, and we give them the tools and resources to do that. But they have to use their SOPs, their standard operating procedures, right? So that it's basically the beauty of this industry is that we are basically using what we do at clinical operations and then bringing it together with what happens at a physician's practice, okay? And then birthing this incredible data, hopefully, right, that we can use for submissions to the regulatory authorities. Are you guys following? I always like to approach this in so many different ways weekly so you guys can really get it. So if you're following, just raise your hand, wave. Just let me know that you're alive and well and that your headsets are working. Yay, thank you so much for that. Okay, fantastic. So let's move on. I am not going to define what clinical trials are. You can read this. What I always talk about is the fact that we are living in a world where we are trying to prevent and detect diseases more. And again, with the innovation in the industry, AI, robotics, big data storage. I mean, you can go online and read all this stuff. There's so much that is happening, but it also is affecting the industry that we're in, and it's going to help patients in future, right? Not just when I say in future, because as you will see, what our inspiration for today is how the future and the past are already present in our lives, right? So whatever we're doing today, we are just ensuring that we can perceive that future as quickly as possible. Okay, so we prevent, we detect, we treat, or we manage various diseases, and by bringing incredible products to the market that can actually do that. That's really what clinical trials management is about in a nutshell. There's so many different professions involved. That's what's great. We have project managers like me, clinical research associates I was a clinical research associate, and it's the foundation, I would say, for this industry. In terms for on the pharma side is the foundation. Clinical research associates monitor clinical research sites, they manage them, they have oversight. Then, of course, the site itself, I say study coordinators are the foundation stone for this industry. I have a lot of respect for the study coordinators. They're the ones who coordinate the project at the level of the facility, the clinic, and they're very hardworking people, really dedicated. I'm not sure, are there any study coordinators on this call? Whether you're a study coordinator, QA person, or anybody working at a clinical research site, I'm not sure. Sometimes we have one or two people besides Elizabeth. Okay. I don't think anybody working at a clinical research site, but basically that's really what they do. They're incredible human beings, and they do such an amazing job. Now, this is a very unique industry, very unique not just in terms of the success, it's an industry of excellence, you guys. This industry, because it's highly regulated, I have had the opportunity to work with the most incredible people around the world, and who have inspired me, really. And people in this industry are very dedicated. We know exactly what we do, and we know that we're helping patients, right? With the products that we bring to the market could transform the life of your great grandchild, right? It could, or just even someone who's currently in your life. There might be a clinical trial that is working on unmet needs. So a lot of the biotech and biopharma tend to work in niche therapeutic areas and niche products that help people. So there might be a very rare disease in your area. Like, let me give an example. Sickle cell, right? There was a time when you had sickle cell that was pretty much it, but there are a whole bunch of companies that have come up with incredible products that can help sickle cell patients. When I was growing up in Cameroon, in West Africa, and I was in boarding school, yeah, I don't know. Do you guys know what boarding schools are in Africa? Is anybody on this call familiar with boarding schools in Africa? Just raise your hand if you are. Boarding schools. Okay, well, so I went to boarding school. I was in it for like 7 years. And, but I remember that there were a few people who had sickle cell, and some of them ended up dying from it because, it was a disease that was incurable, and it could not be managed. So now we have new products coming to the market that actually address those are unmet needs. So that's something that we in clinical trials do. We also work on, products that are large scale, that are diseases that affect the whole world, right? Malaria, here in the US, a lot of depression and anxiety type products. And but the bottom line is that we're there to change patients' lives, and that's it. And that's why the industry is highly regulated, because you're dealing with human beings, and we have to make sure that the patients that get into the clinical trials are safe, okay, and that the data that we're collecting has integrity. Now, in terms of how we apply that in clinical operations and how that translates to what this clinical research side has to do, that's really what the industry is about, right? So we take a product, run it through a pipeline, and then we test it, but we make sure that it's being tested properly and that people are safe, okay? That's where we are. So the industry is decentralized. I say it every week. If I have a project and I'm running it across maybe 60 countries, it's 60 different countries, same project, managed the same way. The changes might be, in terms of how we ship certain products into the country. There might be certain licensing that is required. But once that product hits the clinical research facility, we're all following the same protocol. And that's what's so genius about this industry. It's globalized. Of course, we're running it across 60 countries, then it's globalized. So everybody benefits, right? So if I'm a global, typically a global clinical research consultant in the US, yes, there are certain times when I do manage non-US studies. I've worked on Japan only studies, South America only studies, EMR or Europe only studies, right? So just so you know, it's just the globalization in the sense that it's run across different countries. But as a clinical research or professional, I could be working on a project that is not in my region. That's what's so awesome about it. And of course, it's adaptable. I always talk about the pandemic. That happened. Moderna was like, yeah, we have to get the vaccine out. Pfizer was working on it. Other different products were also coming through. But there was also the fact that we adapt to what is going on in the market. Okay, if there's a certain disease that is becoming more prevalent, there's a chance that more and more companies are going to look for products to actually cure that disease. Now, my big one, which I discuss every week, is transferable skills. Okay, so if I have a skill set, let's just say I'm living in Cape Town in South Africa, or maybe I'm living in Mumbai. Okay, either one. To me, those two places are similar, right? So, and my skill set is only something that applies to my neighborhood. So once I leave my neighborhood, there's nothing else that I can do. That's a big problem. So the beauty of clinical operations and running clinical trials is that your skill set is something that you can use anywhere in the world. So long as you speak the language of that country, if you choose to move, you are going to work. You can work in clinical operations. There are many physicians, people who are physicians in their countries all over the world. Eastern Europe, Africa, South America, just and who come to move, and particularly here in the US that I've experienced that a lot. And they don't want to go into the medical field, taking all the boards and all that stuff. They don't want, it's just licensing can be something. And they end up just getting into clinical research, and they become very successful. So it's an industry that really allows for you to use your skills in a global way. So if you're looking at moving, or you're in your area in the world and you're thinking, I would like to work on something that is not limited to my area, right? This is definitely a good industry to be in. And I think it's the best industry out there. It's hidden in plain sight. Most people don't know what goes on in this industry. I remember about 10 years into my foray into this industry, my family had no idea what I was doing, because it's not something that people think about, right? We go to a pharmacy or we go to a drugstore and the drugs are there, or the devices are there, but we don't know what has happened in the past 15 years to bring that to the market. Okay, enough said. Are you guys still following? Hi, Olivia. I don't think you were here earlier. So let's keep going. Yay, Fatima. Hello. State of affairs, I always talk about it. Sylvester, Lydia. Hi, Lydia. I think she typed something. State of affairs, I always say opportunity. Just the green areas in the world are just showing you that we have a long way to go in terms of clinical research professionals around the globe and the number of research facilities. Let me break things down a little bit on this call, because every week I talk about it. I talk about the saturation here in the United States and Europe in red. They have the most number of clinical research sites. But here's the thing. Even though it says that it's red, what it just means is that they conduct the most number of clinical research sites. It doesn't mean that there still isn't shortage there. Okay, the green areas mean that they're conducting the less number of clinical research sites. So just to clarify, the saturation does not mean that we don't have any need for more. What it just means is that it's a more advanced system that is used to running trials, and they run a lot of them. Okay, but the trend now is we're going to Africa. The middle is not every green area now is where clinical trials are going, because so there's a lot of shifting demographics in the world, right? We remember the middle class was or the Western countries were the place that, things were happening at in terms of wealth and success and all of that stuff. And then now, we have East Asia now is coming up, Africa, South America. So there is across the globe, globalization, cloud computing, the internet, all those things are causing us to all come together. And so the logistics for running clinical trials across the globe, it's so much easier. I remember back in the day when I started, man, there was no internet. It was very interesting. We had those, we didn't even have a lot of times the projects were paper-based projects. And by that, I mean, the way that the data was captured, it was on paper. So guys, think about, you have to ship all these, they call them clinic case report forms, and they could be a 3-part NCR. Just means that, the site will document the data on the first page, then the corrections are made on the second page, and then the third page is what comes back to the pharmaceutical company. It's inputted into some system, and then it's inputted, manually inputted. It was insane. But now everything is online. We have cloud computing, there's centralization, and a clinical trial. So long as a clinical research facility has access to the internet, and even sometimes when they do not, pharmaceutical companies will help them set up a really good system for them. So it's a whole different world, and the potential is incredible. It's a very good time in clinical trials. So if you're sitting on this study, on this call, and you're already a clinical research professional, I'm happy for you. All I'll say is you gotta move to the next level, because that's what Achaibo Clinical is about. It's saying, okay, so you're where you are, we gotta get you to the next level. You don't want to be complacent, to do more. If you're not in the industry, what we do is we provide you tools and resources. Okay, so that's what I want to talk about. Our mission is to help clinical research professionals be successful in managing clinical trials globally. Very, very important. And we provide hands-on training. So it's a little bit different, because like I said, this comes from my experience in the industry, research with peers. And so it's really hands-on training. you could take a, you could take a course online, and it gives you the theoretical part of something, defines a role, says, okay, in this role, these are the things that you do. But the way that our training is set up and coaching is to really empower you on a day-to-day basis. What are you going to be doing? So the ICH GCPs, the good clinical practices, Google that ICH GCPs. It basically all the laws that govern clinical trials across the planet, right? So what I found was managing trials globally and looking at audits and inspections. An audit is, we basically, you guys know what an audit is. I mean, you go in and, and check and see if the trial is being run properly, look at all the data and see what the subset of errors are. And inspections are done by regulatory bodies. It's basically compliance, right? Saying, okay, are they running the trial properly? And sometimes that could be because they heard something was going on, or it's just a routine audit. And there's so many different types of inspections. But here's the deal. What I found was that there is a disconnect sometimes between the ICH GCPs and how it's being applied. So my passion came from that, saying, okay, people can take these ICH GCP certifications and all of that good stuff. But as a clinical research professional in this industry, how do you actually apply that on a day-to-day basis? We also provide success and mindset coaching, and that is the key. The thing that helped me in this industry was really working on mindset. Many times I would be in a room where nobody looked like me, nobody sounded like me, right? And so I really had to work on myself and to understand that the skill set that I have is important, and I do have something to contribute. And guys, I don't have a medical background. I'm a poli-sci person. I worked with the UN for a little bit, so I don't have a poli-sci background, but a medical background. But I've worked on very complex projects. You can look at my profile on LinkedIn. Oncology. I mean, I've worked on so many oncology projects. I've probably worked across at least 30 different therapeutic areas. So it's an industry that does not require you to have a specific set of skills. If you're going to get into clinical operations, you have to be someone who loves clinical trials, who believes that these do transform the world. You have to release any bias you have against pharmaceutical companies. When I hear people say, "Oh, the pharmaceutical companies are dangerous; they're going to kill people," I just say to them, "Absolutely not. Look at what happened with COVID." This is an industry that is just incredibly diverse. I work with the most incredible scientists, medical doctors, legal people, biostatisticians, pharmacovigilance people. They're incredible. And they're really passionate about bringing really good products to the market. And the turnover in this industry is low. We move around a lot. So the average person in this industry, the last time I read, is with a company for 2 years. There are some people who are like, yeah, I've been with this company for 25 years. That's rare. They don't have that anymore. It's just an industry where people move around a lot. And so, because we learned quickly by moving around and working on many projects. But in terms of leaving the industry, I have not met one person who got into this industry and left. I've yet to meet them. That's how great this industry is globally. So, what are our programs? Okay, let me breathe a little bit and then ask you guys, are you following? Somebody joined. I cannot figure out who, and I'm not going to play musical chairs. So welcome. If I had not said hi to you, I'm delighted that you're here. Okay, so let me go backwards. Let me walk my way back. Okay. So what we do is we have two programs. Foundational program is basic, simple. You learn about what happens at the clinical research side. It just gives you an insight into the industry, right? From professionals who are in it. I keep saying that because, guys, I cannot tell you how many programs are out there with people who do not know this industry. They've just heard about it, and then they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to create some programs, and they haven't worked in it. Irks me, but I'm not going to go into that. So it's one kind of hands-on training. And I've worked more with sponsor companies. By that, I mean pharma, biotech. There are many vendors in this space. And so my view of the industry is from that space. I typically start building a project from the beginning. We get a molecule, small or large, or it could be a device or biologic, and then we build a whole program and run it to submission. So you're really getting the real deal, not, half-hearted information and speculation. Okay, and then we also provide the monitoring procedures and processes for you. We talk about setting up a clinical research site and success coaching. Now, I got to change that slide. There's something off about it, but I'll change it. Okay, this is the program guide, basic plan, site management course, GCP course, takes what a good clinical practice and how they apply to clinical research. Then you also get no, you do get, we've taken that out. The marketing and branding course is now for the other program. You get 12 free weekly Q&A calls. So we have coaching calls that occur every single week. And if you join the basic plan, you get that, and it switches out every 12 months. So every 12 months, you will be getting new Q&A calls. And then, of course, access to our Facebook group where you can interact with other people. The premier package is the big one. It is a program that this is our heart, the heart of what we do, teaching you how to manage a site. So there's a clinical research clinical research associate course. A clinical research associate is really very important in this industry. It's where I started. I actually started in data management. And then I went to becoming a CRA, and I'm glad I did, because it is the role that really gives you a 360-degree view of the industry, right? Because of clinical operations management. And because of that, I was able to move up very quickly, because once I knew everything that was going on, what is required to run a facility, then I knew that at the global level, it's just the same view, but it's more expansive. Okay, so you get our site management program for free for the basic course. You get that for free. It's a long program. It's free. You get the GCP course, and then you get the marketing and branding course, which I love. It teaches you how to market yourself in this industry, but you can use it for anything. And that's the steps to my success. Access to the Facebook group, and of course our lifetime weekly coaching calls, which talk about, so every week on the weekly coaching calls we have a new topic, because this is such a robust industry that, guys, I could, if you ask me to teach this for the next maybe, I don't know, 20 lifetimes, I will never run out of information, because there's so much to teach to ensure that you really become an excellent clinical research professional. So the lifetime weekly coaching calls is included. This is the package basically, and our current pricing. We have the basic plan, which has the ultimate clinical research toolbox site management course. This is the value. GCP program, the weekly coaching calls, and the total value is probably more than 21,000, because it took us a long time to put this together. But you're getting it for $399 a year. And then this is the second program. You get everything here, and then you get plus that. So that's the program. That's what we're here to offer. If you have any questions, please email cs@Achaibo Clinical, and we will get everything to you. Okay, I'm going to pause here because that's the first part of the presentation. Now we're going to go into something more inspiration, okay? Ideas that we also discuss during our weekly coaching calls, and I'm going to give them here for free every week. So let's move into that. Let's see. Okay, you guys are like, yes, Sylvester, you are all engaged. Yeah, that's so good. Let me talk about this topic for today. And so we are continuing our series on the 7 habits of transformation. In this, it's really about expanding your mind, because your mindset, who you are, the study of the self is so important. This morning I had I joined a training group at the gym. We lift weights and all kinds of stuff. And for the longest time, I've always been more, like I said, I believe in the Yoga Sutras. I've studied it. I'm into yoga. So for the longest time in my life, I thought, I'm just only going to do, yoga and stuff. And then some years back, I decided to move on into a lot of training and combining it with that. Because what I've found is that the more that you learn about yourself, right? And then what you will come to realize, oh, wow, there's some things about me that I did not know about. And so you always want to see yourself like a mystery. Deepak Chopra, in one of his books, talks about the self being like, understanding yourself is like diving into this deep, deep ocean, and for this very precious pearl, and that's you. And then it's a constant deep dive into who you are. And when we take the time to do that, then automatically at work were more successful. And speaking from experience, again, think about managing projects globally, different countries, different personalities, different cultures, different ideas, but we all have a shared vision that we're going to bring this incredible product to the market, and we're going to ensure that it is run in the right way. So these are the tools that really help me excel in this industry, and they're things that I love to share with you every week for free. All right. So now, here's the thing. Last week we talked about habit 5, and I wanted you guys to think about it was the concept of Prayojakam Ticham, or the Chitam, or the principal mind. The Chitta in yoga is your mind, okay? And what the belief is that when you get to a certain level of enlightenment, or however you want to call that, this is the Yoga Sutras, right? It's the belief system of the Yoga Sutras. You can inhabit different bodies, and so your mind now can inhabit different bodies, but again, I always say I learned this concept so that I can actually apply them to real world, right? The real world and everything that go on every day. So but then if you can inhabit different bodies, but there has to be a principal mind. And so the point that I was making was that what they're referring to is that you cannot have a divided mind as you move forward through life. The way that you do one thing is the way that you do everything. And so today I get up at 4 a.m. every day. Now I get up at 3 because of the time change. So it's always, if it's before daylight savings time, right? I am 7 to 3 or 8 to 4. Doesn't change every day. And so my intention is that I set a time in which I can really ensure that I comfort in a certain way in the world. And so that one thing, you guys, has completely transformed my life. Just getting up at 4 a.m. every day, doing meditation, doing a little bit of yoga or asanas, right out of my bed. Like literally, I have stuff right out of my bed where I just step out, and once I'm done, I start all my morning exercises before even going to the gym. So that little thing, for me, that's my honing of my principal mind. So I've already created a mind and energy that's going to permeate the next aspects of my day. So that's what we talked about. I won't go into too many details. It's all on YouTube. If you want to, listen to free webinars, just go on YouTube. All the calls are there. Bia uploads those. I think it's 24 to 48 hours after every call. Today, I want to talk about habit 6. And habit 6 is the nature of reality. So there is in Sanskrit, Atita is the past and Anagata is the future. But this is how it is defined. The past is that which has already manifested. Okay, so I, wanted to become a clinical research professional. And so I said, yeah, I'm going to be a clinical research professional. I'm going to get more information about this industry. And then boom, like one of our coaching students just got his first interview, really very exciting. And so, right, he took the course, that was the past, took this course, right? And then now he's getting his interview, which is happening in the present. So the past is that which has already manifested, the things that have already happened in your life. If you want the children, they're there, present, right in your face. That's already manifested, okay? Now, then the future is that which has yet to manifest. So the present is that which is manifesting. I'll go into the present because the present is every moment is constantly unfolding. So the present happens now. It happens now. I hope you guys get this. And it happens now, right? The present is happening. So it's manifesting. So it's a verb. The past is a noun. The present is a verb, right? And the future is also a noun. So it says Anagata is that which has yet to manifest. But here is the kicker, which will help you guys. And I'm going to bring it down to what we do in clinical trials. Okay. What is said in the Yoga Sutras is this: the past and future, that is Atita and Anagata, exist in the present reality, appearing to be different because of having different characteristics or forms. I'll read it again and I'll explain it. Past and future exist in the present reality, appearing to be different because of having different characteristics or forms. So this is what it means. It is an illusion that things have happened. Yes, it seems like they have, and that there are things happening in the future. The only difference is that they are appearing in different ways. So there is the you who's on this call. I don't know how old you are. Maybe you were 5, right? And then you became, I don't know. I will speak in my own case because I'm 47 now, going on 48. So, 48 in January. It feels weird. I don't even, I mean, I don't feel like, I'm like, am I really that? Yeah. Anyways, so there was you, me who was young, right? I was 5 years old or 10, and then I became 20, and then 30s, and then 40s, right? So I am saying that my past is when I was 10, but that aspect of me who was 10 is still here, right? It is the past. The 10-year-old, bones and cells. I mean, they say our body is constantly changing, but I do have those memories, so it's still here, right? Who's to say that the current memory that I have of when I was 10 is the past? It's present. It's here, right? So that aspect of the past still exists in me. Then there's the present me who's constantly unfolding, the Tengu who's, in this moment, there's certain things that I'm doing. It's here. I can see, taste it, and touch it. But then also the future part of me, which means that when I think about what I want to do in future ideas, this is the kicker. It's all happening now. When you think, for example, you were sitting last week, you said, oh yeah, I want to attend the Achaibo clinical call on Wednesday. I'm going to register. You're thinking about the Achaibo clinical call in that moment, even though it's happening in the present. So past, present, and future are all intermingling. But many times, we think that, they're separate from each other. And so I want you to see this as an advantage in your life. There is a belief in the Yoga Sutras that when you change the present, it goes far. You change your past and you change your future. In quantum physics, I just forgotten what the term is. When sometimes they would put two particles at different parts, in the world, and what happens to one particle affects the other. I cannot remember. I'm sure that it will come back to me. But it's just saying that there's really no time, right? It's all an illusion, and that it's just particles affecting each other. So you don't have to be religious or spiritual. These are just basic concepts, okay? And so everything in your life is working together. Now, let me talk about clinical. So before going through, let me explain something. The sutra. So sutra just means thread. It's just a thread, that's really what it is. So the thread of your life, see yourself as not necessarily moving through past, present, future, right? If you just joined us, I see someone just joined us. We are in part 2 of the webinar. We've talked about clinical trials, and then we do a mindset and success coaching that is related to clinical trials as well. So that's where we are. Welcome. And so, and this call is also recorded in case you missed some part of it. So the sutra of your life flows through past, present, and future. Here you are, and you think that you're moving, but it's just basically things, you're just flowing through time and space, right? So it's all one. It's all, everything that happens in your life, the past, you always have a little bit of the past. And then the present is just more evident because we keep paying attention to the present. And then, of course, there is the quote unquote future that we think that we're getting to, but it's all happening now because all the thoughts that you're having are happening now, right? So it's not so much that it's past or future. It's all happening now. It's all intertwined. So everything is present in your life in the same form. Now, what I loved about this concept, which really helped me when I was managing clinical trials, was this. I would say to myself, Tengu, and I say that a lot, like, well, Tengu, this is the deal. So now I'm taking on a project. Sometimes taking on a project is a part of a project from a big portfolio. And maybe in that portfolio, we've run so many different clinical trials. And now we're like, oh, let's try this, in another indication. So for me, I said, that's the past. When I'm setting up a clinical trial, what can I use from the past? Because it's still ongoing, right? So I'm taking that past information and I'm applying it to the quote unquote present project. But so the past and the present in that project are already intertwining. And then I'm projecting forward. I'm thinking, okay, great. We set up the trial. Who's going to be part of the team? Have they worked on a different trial before? The countries, which countries are going to be involved? How are we going to ship the investigational project product or supplies? So, and what are the timelines? I mean, what tasks do we have to do to actually initiate these timelines? And then what about, the vendors that we're going to use? So guys, you guys get it. You guys get what I'm saying. So I'm working on that That's something that's coming down the road, but I'm working on it in the present. Okay. And so that's the important thing that I want to share with you. The reason why clinical trials are so successful is that we're constantly applying this concept of using the past and using the future to affect the present. When somebody says, I'm going to bring a product to the market, they have project, we're going to go through different phases or a subset of patients, a bigger group of patients. The past, present, and future becomes intertwined. And when you even look at a project with the scope, and the timelines, seriously, there is no past, present, or future. I always smile because you can look at what we've been doing, what we're currently doing, and then what we're planning on doing. But it's all happening now. And sometimes we might even skip and do something quicker because of the what happened on a different project. So for example, we used it on a different indication. Okay, maybe it was a dermatology project. We use it for a specific disease, and we noticed that, oh wow, the when patients took, the patients who took it, specific group of patients liked because sometimes we run sub projects. We can do like a project where we check your pulse, or you get some kind of a watch. Maybe we notice that the patients between, a certain age, a certain area, certain research facilities liked to use those watches, right? So we already have a glimpse into the future of what could possibly happen. The other way this works in clinical trials is risk mitigation. Everything that we do is how right now, especially with the FDA, they're big about risk mitigation, which makes sense. When I'm setting up a clinical trial and I look at all aspects of it in terms of clinical operations, what are the possible risks and how can I stop them from happening? Or not stop them, or at least mitigate means that I might not be able to stop them, but I can put certain checks in place where either it doesn't happen, or if it happens, it is not too bad. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So in a sense, you are taking past experiences, right, from other projects. We've seen it. We've seen that this happened. During COVID, it was just like, oh my God, this is what happened. Year one of COVID was insane. By year two, we knew what we were doing, and then now we're working on the project, and then we start saying, in future, what could possibly happen? So that's what I want to really drive deep into you guys' lovely subconscious mind. Apply this to every area in your life. You're constantly thinking, how can I use the past experiences that I've had to help me in the present, and then also use it as a launching pad for what is going to happen in the future? Again, it's all happening together, right? So that's it. This Achaibo Clinica in the form that it exists did not exist in this form. It's gone through so many different phases. Bee's smiling. I'm sure Lee's going to smile too. Lee actually knows the other phase of Achaibo Clinica, so they know. So it's been through so many different phases, but I'm always using the past to make it better in the present for you guys, for you who attend that, who get our product, attend our coaching course, who attend this free webinar. It's a constant asking, how can I take past experience and give you guys the best and really help you understand how passionate I am about this industry and how I know it can help anyone, anywhere in the world. And because of that, then it's going to transform your lives in future and what's happening here at Achaibo Clinical. So I hope you guys got that. If you did, just raise your hand. Super delighted. We're going to go into the Q&A. But if you got that and there's one thing that you think that you can apply, whether you're, in clinical operations or outside of it, I think that will be great. Nicodemus, not a problem that you joined late. This call is going to be on YouTube for you. Hey, I mean, it will be VIP, right? You're going to be listening to it on your own at your leisure. So that will be great. Okay, Serafina, hello. I think you're the one who joined later. Okay, I think B has posted that. Okay, guys, so let's go into the Q&A. During this section, I respond to everything. I mean, I always say there's really nothing in clinical operations that I don't know about. I mean, in terms of, as it relates to project management. So please go ahead and ask any questions that you have, anything that's on your mind. You can comment about what I just discussed in terms of allowing your life to be a flow versus saying, oh, I reject the past. Yes, some things might have happened in the past. Maybe you worked at a job where you really hated it, but I promise you, There's one thing from that job that is helping you right now in your life. And that same thing is going to allow for you to get some new things that are going to help you in future. So don't really try not to see your work life or personal life as something that is static. There was the me before, there was the me now, and then there was the me in the future. If you start seeing it as an integrated whole, and that every part affects the whole, then it's going to cause you to have a completely different perception about yourself. I find that one of the things that cause let me not say failure, because failure is such a harsh word. One of the things that causes the challenges in our lives, and you can relate this to clinical operations as well, is that we are splintered. We think that, our lives are split into so many different parts. I talked about the past, present, future, but even within that, there was me, the mom, or me, the father, me, the sister, me, the brother. Yes, it exists in a figurative manner. It exists, right? I mean, I have all these labels of myself, but I'm just one whole. I'm just one whole figuratively, right? I am actually a whole. And these are just different aspects of me that are interacting in different ways. And of course, in clinical operations, it's the same. If I am at the level of the clinical research side and I'm running a project for a specific company, I really have to make sure that I show up every day and really allow myself to have excellence by integrating all those aspects of myself. At the global level, setting up for a clinical trial, we can have splintered aspects. I mean, we have got to have all the same intention, taking the product to submission, and then we have to observe what is going on, adapt, reiterate, right? If it's not going as planned, maybe we're going to have to put it on hold. But we know that it is one whole, past, present, and future. Whatever has happened on this project or on past projects that are now helping us to run this in a really great way that's going to help people, or whatever is coming down the pipeline in terms of submission. Okay, so again, I'm open to questions, but I just wanted you guys to really get that so you can apply it to your life, and hopefully there are some things that might change for you. Okay, any questions? So, Sylvester, that's a very good question. I would like to touch base on the clinical trial definition to alleviate ambiguity. Not all clinical trials are randomized. I think you said are all clinical trials random. So just to confirm, what you mean is randomized, right? Not random. Because if you say all clinical trials are random, I think random is a different word. Things happen randomly, they're not planned for. But randomized, not all clinical trials are randomized, but the majority are. Just because of device studies. Some device studies are not randomized. And then also the randomization also will have to do with the vastness of the trial, because sometimes a small, really clinical trial, we don't randomize it. It might be just in a really small subset of patients. I've worked in a lot of this for really small companies. We use a spreadsheet to track patients. If it's an orphan drug where we might only enroll maybe 10 patients, I literally just go, let's use an Excel spreadsheet, and we basically track every single patient. We assign them a specific number, right? So you might have that, but majority of the trials are randomized. As you start getting into a bigger population and globally, and we do have systems for that. We have the IWRS system that really helps with that. So yeah, absolutely. Majority are randomized, but there are many that are not. But you also have to remember, Sylvester, that we always think about pharmaceutical trials. Oh yeah, we're going to study a device. Maybe it's a new, stent for the heart, and we're going to stent and compare it to another stent. Maybe we're comparing the polymer stent versus the stainless steel stent, whatever, right? But we also have to remember that cosmetics do have clinical trials. In fact, lately, I have seen so many clinical trials that I'm just amazed. Before, at least in the US, all these supplements that were on the market were not going through clinical trials. Now we've seen companies that are now setting up for that, and running randomized and non-randomized clinical trials to make sure that these are great supplements that are coming to the market. So there's a lot happening. And the reason why I get very excited is because this industry is so vast. I have to tell you guys, we're never going to have enough clinical research professionals to run trials in this industry. It's just the truth, because I even have ideas in my mind about even, setting up shop for something, right? Because there's always something that would be my mind. If I had all the funds, I would have dengue fever focus. I mean, I know there are probably clinical trials on that. I would focus on all the diseases that affect the tropical areas. That's what I'll be focusing on, right? If I had all the funding for that. So yeah, Sylvester, did that answer your question? Just raise your hand, or you can come on if you want to, but just let me know if that answered your question. You are welcome. I so I know a lot about trials. I mean, this is my thing. It's my drum. But here's the thing: I'm more about that's why I can really explain things and break them down, because again, this industry is such a mystery. People don't know. Even in this has nothing to do with the part of the world that you're in. But the average person, even here in the US, who doesn't know what happens in the clinical trials industry, they don't even know that it exists. During COVID, there was a lot of change because people are like, oh my God, wow, they just brought a vaccine to the market. And I will explain to people that, yes, they had to set up across different countries and, and they had to test it. I mean, clinical operations was probably working like 24/7. So yes, there is an industry that is hidden in plain sight, and it's the best industry. When I hear people say, oh yeah, the oil industry is like amazing because your base salary is the highest, I'm like, no. Clinical trials, clinical operations has the base salary is one of the highest in the world for sure, but people don't know about that. And it's an industry where once you get in, you are good for life. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can go, so many different things that you can do. And for me, no one held my hand. I figured this stuff out, and that's why I'm here, to make sure that you guys get it. And you start even just Googling things. I mean, what are the phases of clinical trials, right? How do they work? In my area, what part of the world that I'm in, is there my local doctor running clinical trials? Maybe he is. You might be shocked. You might say, hey, do you guys run clinical trials? They're like, yeah, we do. There's just so much happening. But if you don't know about this industry, then you don't know. And it's always helpful. Yeah. Perfect. No, Sylvester, that's what we're here. We're here to answer questions, and I have an answer to all questions. So I haven't had a situation where somebody asked me something and I'm like, I don't know, just because this is my area of expertise. This is what I love doing. Okay, so I think that's it, you guys. I don't see any more questions. I'm always delighted that all of you join. It is a joy to impart this knowledge. Nicodemus, you said, how do I benefit from this Achaibo Clinical? We have coaching students. And let me just explain something to you. I have a consulting, I still work at the global level. I help teams across the globe set up for trials. So this is my passion. And yes, this is what I honestly believe. When you have got to always go for your passion, it's just my thing. And when you do something that you love, okay, you will get compensated one way or the other. But when you do something because of the benefits, I will not be running these calls the way that I'm actually running them. If I was really doing this for the benefits, yes, there is benefit. We do have people sign up for our coaching. That's important. But I could just come on this call and just talk about clinical research, sell you something or whatever. But that's not the purpose. The purpose, I want to educate people about this industry. I want them to understand what this industry is about. And of course, I want you to come coach with us because, you get the best of the best. I mean, by actually coaching with us, you do get more insight. You actually get a program that's going to help you. So my question to you, Nicodemus, I'm not worried about how I'm benefiting from this because it brings me so much joy to discuss this with all of you and just provide this knowledge. How are you benefiting from this? Why are you on this call? Let me know. If you want to, you can come on and talk. That's why I'm more concerned. I want to know if this is helping you, if you're benefiting from this versus me benefiting, because this is my passion. By coming on this call and talking to you and talking about an industry that I'm the only person doing it. There is nobody out there doing what I'm doing who has been in this industry as long as I have been, who has this type of a free webinar and coaching programs to help people around the world. So I do it because I love it. I love it. I love it. And that's my own benefit. So again, Nicodemus, how is this benefiting you? You can type it if you want. That's my question to you. Okay, that's what I thought. You see that? Because you know what it is? We can. So I've learned a lot, you guys, and I didn't just get to this point. This company, we've been through so much. B and Lee know, we've been through. I mean, because I'm juggling, I have other clients. There's so much going on. Recently I had a very close personal person who got sick with HER2 positive breast cancer. So there is a lot that is going on. But the thing that I've learned from this, you guys, we have to start doing things for the joy. But Nicodemus, you're gonna get excited. So next year, there's going to be an inspiration channel for all of you who attend this call. It's going to be free. You're going to go on there and you're going to listen to just inspiring stories, inspiring ideas that you don't need to wait for. You come to the Wednesday call, but besides the Wednesday call, that will also start coming forth next year. It's called Animated Inspiration from Achaibo Clinical. That's the name. And it's going to be coming out sometime March, April next year. But it's all going to be it's been sitting in the back burner. I had this in the works for a while, just had so much going on, because my hope is that people feel inspired, that because the clinical research professionals are so incredible, there is nothing that is targeted to them. There's no channel out there targeted to inspire clinical research professionals around the world. There's really no such thing. So my goal is that, as more and more people attend this call, and that the information you learn about clinical trials, but you feel inspired, and you also feel inspired in your own life. That is what I'm here for. And it brings me so much joy. I cannot tell you guys how I look forward to these calls. And it's going to be hard in December when we're not going to be doing them. We're going to start again in January, but it's going to be really hard. But I just want you guys to know, I so appreciate all of you who come every week, and just, it's really here for you. It's a space for you. Okay. Nicodemus, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It's very good feedback. Okay. Who else? Anything to say or feedback or anything, really? I mean, this is an open space, so please feel free to express your opinion or ask a question. Okay. So Nicodemus had a question. Of course, Sylvester had a question. Okay, so our last call for the year is next week, right? It's Habit number 7. You guys are gonna love it. We're gonna talk about clinical trials, and I'm thinking about bringing some. I think I'm gonna do something a little surprise. Why not? Every week is different. The thing I enjoy is that, guys, by the way, part 2 of this call, I don't plan it. I have an idea I know how the slides are, and and B and Lee, we all prep, right? We all work on them. But here's the thing. I never know the topic itself. I sit in meditation and then I get inspired, and then I would go, oh, okay, that's what I'm going to talk about. So I never know. That's why I can't tell you guys next week we're going to talk about blah, blah, blah. Oh, Olivia, your recruiter, my favorite people in the industry. It is because of you, Olivia, that I am where I am. People like you, really, I have to say, before I actually started going for my own, for, contracts on my own and consulting, I want you to know this. As a recruiter, the ones who really stood out for me are the ones who have that personal touch. So this information about the past, the present, and the future. This is an amazing industry, Olivia, as you know. It is just incredible. And the people that are in this industry move around a lot. So there's so many recruiters in this industry because we're always looking for new opportunities. Really, right? I mean, now I don't look, I am get approached because I've built a database of plans. But so Olivia, and so you being on this call, I hope that it inspires you. Don't, so let me not use the word don't. A good recruiter, okay, and I also interview candidates for certain clients. When I'm getting on a project, I have to, bring a team together. A good recruiter is someone who's one-on-one. Cherish your contacts, Olivia. Ping me on LinkedIn if you have any questions or anything. Cherish your contacts, and really, really appreciate them. The issue in the industry right now that I have seen is, maybe you have people like also being in with veterans, and then you have people who really want to get in, and then in the middle there's not too many. So there's such a need in this industry. There's such a need. And so I love recruiters. I think you guys are amazing people. Thank you for everything that you do. Really, recruiters are my friends, and so I just want to thank you for joining, Olivia. I wish you so much success. Treat your candidates, I'm sure you are already, just really pay attention to their background, because for me, the people who acknowledge who I was, the fact that, whether it's being a female as you know, we have a lot of women in clinical operations, but just acknowledging another human being and appreciating the difference. And the recruiters who didn't care when I came in, there were not too many people who looked like me and sounded like me. And so the recruiters that really helped me were the ones who were like, they saw my talent. They didn't care what country I was from, what I looked like, whatever. They saw the skill set and the talent, and then they kept sending me to so many different clients. So I always say, remove all the filters. That candidate in front of you might be the one who's going to be constantly switching every 3 years, and you're going to have a massive amount of money coming in every 3 years because you created such a good relationship with this person. So I thank you for joining, Olivia. I'm glad that you're a recruiter, and keep shining. And I really wish you so much joy. I really do. I really do. Yes, Sylvester, let me explain something to you. Absolutely, Olivia. People like us, Sylvester, that is and guys, I'm big about mindset training. Sylvester, so when you tell yourself that the recruiters in this industry are always looking for experienced personnel, that is not true. You might perceive it as true. And if you want, you can ping me on LinkedIn, or maybe we can go further. But here's the thing. When you automatically have an assumption, it blocks what is coming through. Every single person in this industry started off with no experience. I don't have a medical background. My God, hey, I didn't have a medical background. I remember it took me about maybe 4 or 5 months in data management to realize that the queries or the questions that I was creating, they're called queries in the system, and we send those to clinical research sites, right? And they come back. So it took me 4 months. You can connect with Olivia, and this is what I was just connect with Olivia. Ask her what it would take for you to get into this industry. I also recommend taking our coaching program because, of course, it gives you hands-on information. The thing about this industry is not so much that you are not experienced. It requires a certain skill set, and that's why we coach. You have to switch the way that you're navigating. You've got to see yourself in a different way. Once I saw myself as a successful clinical research professional, everything changed. So, Olivia, I'm happy you're here. Sylvester, I highly recommend that you maybe you can ask me more questions. Email me at cs@Achaibo Clinical. Put the current complaints that you have and what you want to do. So 3 questions. What does Sylvester want to do? What are the challenges that you're currently facing? And what is stopping you from achieving your goal, whether you want to get into this industry? Because there's certain things that you have to do. You have to know that if you want something, there is this webinar, there are coaching calls, there are people who can guide you. You can absolutely. I agree. Email me. email me. Let's see, and I can maybe we can schedule something. Yeah, please do. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. And that's the other reason why I have a tribal clinical, because I take people who are study coordinators and I train them to be CRAs. Elizabeth, who's on this call, Elizabeth, make sure to contact Olivia as well. I think Olivia might help you. Olivia, I have Elizabeth who just went through she's a QC person. She's incredible. She's just taken my CRA program. I mean, she's amazing. And I helped her with her resume is up to date. She's on LinkedIn. So Elizabeth, take a note of that. Send Olivia's email to Elizabeth, and that way Elizabeth can also, deal with her. And Olivia, you and I can chat as well. We can, feel free, email Olivia with that's her email her, and then that way she has my information, and you and I can connect, Olivia, and ping me on LinkedIn, because what I'm doing is I'm taking people around the world and really teaching them hands-on practical clinical research. So we talk about what you do as a CRA, how you manage your time. We talk about success. So it's a whole different type of a training. And the people here, I mean, it's excellence at its best. And because I'm all about that, we have got to give people the right information. We have to empower them. So next year, we're going to have our own database of candidates, Olivia. So you and I can collaborate. People who go through our coaching program will be added to our database. And that way, if a situation comes up, then we can actually send you. But we are all about giving people the best of the best, the best of the best, really. So Olivia, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you're here. It's nice to really see the world from a recruiter's eyes. And Sylvester, you and I, we have to just answer those questions. We got to remove those blocks, because, it's not the thing that you want to get to, it's the thing that you're telling yourself about where you want to get to. That's a quote that I have to remember. Okay. Thank you guys so much. I know this call went over. I really appreciate you being here. Remember, the past, present, and future are all together, and in clinical research, even more so, like I said. And what I just said to Sylvester, I will repeat it. It's not the thing that you want that is stopping you. It's the thing that you think about, the thing that is stopping you. That's what's stopping you, okay? So I thank you once again. You guys have a fantastic rest of the week, and we're going to wrap up with Habit 7. B and Lee, high five, rock stars. Okay, I will talk to you guys. Okay, go out there and be incredible. Okay, bye-bye.